Hello guys, today we are going to demonstrate on how to find the number of machine cycles and t-states for a respective instruction, okay, in 8085 microprocessor. Okay, now we'll be demonstrating the number of machine cycles and t-states for a respective instruction using a sample program. So I've taken a sample program through which I'll be demonstrating on how to find the number of machine cycles and t-states for a respective instruction. Okay, now I've taken the basic diagram of a microprocessor, 8085 microprocessor. Now I'll be explaining the number of machine cycles and t-states using the diagram of this microprocessor. Okay, so first I've drawn three tables. So first is the memory organization, how the different instructions are stored in the memory, and then I'll be explaining the instruction flow, and then finally I'll be calculating the number of machines cycles and t states using the instruction definition table. Okay, now in the memory organization, I'll be starting the address from say 2000H, and then I'll be going till 2001H, then 2002H, 2003H, 2004H, 2005H, 2006H, 2007H, 2008H. So primarily I've taken the address of the memory from 2000H, and I'll be going till the amount or the limit till the instructions needs the memory. Okay, so I'll be starting with the instruction, say move a comma b. Now this is the instruction, and I'll be needing another column for the opcode. Needing another column for the opcode, so move a comma b. Now this is a 1 byte instruction. And the opcode for this instruction is 78H. So in the memory location 2000H, 78H will be stored. Okay, now ignore this portion because this will not be stored in the memory. This highlighted part will not be stored in the memory. Only the address and the opcode are stored. Okay, opcode or the data which we give. Opcode is for the instructions, and the data which we need for manipulation in the program. Okay, so move a comma b, then mvi a comma 38H. Okay, so mvi a, so first it will be mvi a. Okay, so we want to move immediate. I want to move 38H to the accumulator. So mvi a has an opcode of 3EH, and in the next row I'll be giving 38H. So what is to be moved to accumulator is 38H. In the next instruction we'll be having LXI H comma 4050H. Okay, so LXI H, so we'll be removing this because this is the data, and for LXI H we'll be storing 21H. Okay, so 21H is the opcode for LXI H, and in the next row we'll be first be storing the less significant byte, which is 50H, and in the next row we'll be storing the most significant byte, which is 40H. So 40H. Then we'll be storing STA. So STA has an opcode of 32H, and in the next row we'll be having the most significant portion of the data, which is 50H, 50H, and in the next we'll be having 70H, the most significant portion of the data. So we have created the memory organization I. How will this program, which I've taken for demonstration, will be stored in the memory? Okay, so if the address starts from 2000H and ends till 2008H, and this highlighted portion is not contained in the memory, I have given it for the use of demonstration, and we stored the opcode consecutively in the address of the memory. Now we'll be seeing the instruction flow with the respect to the microprocessor. So we'll be taking first in the first column, it's register change. Any changes in the register we are storing, register change. Second, we'll be storing AB. Now what is AB? AB is the contents of the address bus, what data we are moving in the address bus. Then we are giving PC, the flow of data in the program counter, after each execution of instruction, how program counter is being updated in the consecutive memory locations. Then it's the DB, the data bus, the contents of the data bus, what contents are being updated in the data bus. Then we have the CS, or the control signal, and finally we are keeping a remarks column, what type of instruction we will be demonstrating. So first we will not be starting with the register change. Initially 2000H will be stored in the address bus of the microprocessor. 2000H will be referencing a memory location in the memory. Okay, so 2000H will be stored in the address bus 2000H. Then in the program counter stores the address of the next memory location after giving its contents to the address bus. Okay, so initially it was 2000H program counter, then program counter changes to 2001H. At each step, program counter will be containing the address plus of data bus, address contained in address bus plus 1. Okay. Now after sending 2000H in the memory location, we need to read the opcode stored at 2000H from the memory. So for that, a control signal is generated, which is memory read. Okay, so memory read signal is being generated, which is MEMR, which is an active low signal. Now I underline it. Is an active low signal, and therefore I read the opcode. I read the opcode from the memory. So this instruction, this operation has a special name, which is called the opcode fetch. Opcode fetch. Okay. Now what is contained in the data bus? After we fetch the opcode from the memory, this opcode is sent to the microprocessor using the data bus. So data bus contains the opcode, which is 78H. T8H. Okay, so there is no change in some register. Okay, now we move on to the next location. Program counter transfers its address to the address bus. So address bus now contains 2001H. Now program counter contains the address contained in the address bus plus 1, so 2002H, and for 2001H we need to store the opcode 3EH, we need to read the opcode from the memory 3EH. So we sent a active low signal MEMR for reading from the memory, I again an opcode fetch, and we fetch the opcode which is 3EH. Okay, so we have fetched the opcode. Now what the opcode does is, after fetching 3EH, it comes in the data bus, and then it's taken into the instruction decoder. Okay, so after taking it in the instruction decoder, the microprocessor tries to understand what type of instruction it is. So here it is MVI A, so it means that move immediate A. So we want to move some data which is given in the next memory location to the register A. Okay, now instruction decoder tells the microprocessor to fetch another data in the next memory location, which is to be put in the accumulator A. Okay, so I go to the next memory location 2002H, and then the program counter changes to 2003H, and the control signal is sent as memory read. We need to read another data from the memory, which is MEMR. Okay. And here we don't fetch any opcode, here we fetch data fetch. So this data fetch is actually the operation which is memory read, and the special kind of memory read where we fetch the opcode of an instruction is called the opcode fetch. Okay, now the data bus contains 38H, so 38H is sent to the data bus. Now 38H comes to the data bus and gets directly stored to the accumulator A because of the previous instruction MVI A, which had informed the microprocessor to directly store the data from the memory to the accumulator. Okay, now 38H is contained in accumulator, so I replace it with a register change has occurred, so A contains 38H. Okay, now in the next memory we move on to the next address, which is 2003H, and then 2004H, which is contained in the program counter, and here 2003H, it's giving an instruction LXIH. Now LXIH has an opcode of 21H, so it's again we need to fetch that opcode from the memory, so it's a memory read instruction, opcode fetch, and it fetches the opcode of LXIH, which is 21H. I21H alerts the microprocessor that something we need to store in a register pair HL. Okay, now the two consecutive bytes are stored in the two consecutive memory locations after the opcode. Okay, so the instruction decoder tells the microprocessor to fetch the next two memory location and store them in the consecutive registers of H and L. So the MSB is stored in H and the LSB is stored in L. Okay, now I take the next memory location 2004H, and the program counter contains the next memory location 2005H, and the next the data bus we need to read something from the memory, so MEMR, memory read instruction, which is an opcode fetch, we read something from the data bus. Okay, so 50H will be sent to the through the data bus and stored directly in L. So 50H is contained in the data bus, and L contains 50H. L contains 50H. Then we move on to the next memory location 2006H, 2005 H, and then the program counter contains 2006 H, and then also we need to do a memory read instruction. This is not the opcode phase, this is the data fetch. This is data fetch, and in the next memory instruction also it's a data fetch. Okay. Now what is contained in the data bus? It contains 40H, which needs to be stored in the register H. So 40H is contained in the data bus, and H contains 40H. Okay. Now then again we move on to the next memory location, 2006H. 2007H is contained in the program counter. So STA, we see the instruction STA. Now we need to read the opcode from the memory 32H. So I store 32H here, which is contained in the data bus, and it's a memory read instruction, and it's an opcode fetch for an instruction. Opcode fetch for an instruction. Okay, so we need to fetch that opcode. Now STA stores tells us that we need to store something from the accumulator to a respective address in the memory. Now this instruction, when it goes from the data bus to the instruction decoder, it says that we need to store the next two memory locations. We need to store the contents of the accumulator A to the next two memory locations, which are indicated by the next two memory locations in the memory organization. Okay, so I store 2007H, and program counter contains 2008H. Okay, now what do we do here? We take in 50H from the memory. Okay, we take in 50H from the memory. 50H from the memory is passed to the data bus from the memory, and it's a memory read instruction. It's a memory read instruction, and we do a data fetch. Now what happens after 50H is in the data bus? Now since we need to store something in the accumulator, in the memory address mentioned, this memory address needs to be referred by the microprocessor to a respective memory location. Now where do we store this address? We store this address in a temporary register, which is the WZ register. This register, or this temporary register, is not available for programming. It's a temporary register only used by microprocessor for its own internal uses. Okay, now 50H, the lowest byte, is stored in Z, and the most significant byte is stored in W. Okay, so here we give a register change, which is Z contains 50H. Okay, and we move on to the next memory location, 2008H. And the program counter is incremented to 2009H. Okay, and here the data bus contains 70H. Okay, so it's a data fetch instruction. And the contents of W is changed to 70H. Okay, 2008 contains 70H. Now the operation has still not ended. What does STA means? We need to store the contents of the accumulator from the memory, from the accumulator to the memory location, which is specified next after the STA instruction. Now again we need to do another referencing, which is 5076 7050H. Now the instruction flow moves on to the 7050H, but the program counter contains the original address only. Okay, as contained before, this doesn't increment itself, but the contents of the temporary register are passed on to the address bus. Okay, now here we need to store something from the data bus passing from the microprocessor to the memory. So it's a bidirectional data bus, so we send some data as a write. Okay, the control signal is memory write. Okay, MEMW. And what are we writing? We are writing the contents of the accumulator to 7050H. Now the data bus contains the accumulator contents, which is 38H. So this is 38H, and it's a data write instruction to the memory. Okay, so the contents of the accumulator. So if this is the memory organization, and if we do something like this, say 7050H is an address in the memory location, it contains the opcode or an opcode which is 38H. This is opcode slash data. So it contains the data of 38H. In between there are many memory cells that might happen. Okay, so this has many instruction cells. Okay, so the memory location 7050H contains 38H. So till now we have decided on the instruction flow, on how the instructions are being executed in the memory. After the data is written, the program is executed properly. So till before we have seen the memory organization, then the instruction flow. Now using these instructions in the 8085 assembly program, we are going to define the instructions using the number of machine cycles or the T states that they contain. Okay. So this is a table which is instruction definition. Now the columns are instruction, what byte instruction it is, bytes, then the number of machine cycles, and the number of T states. Okay, so I delete this column. Okay, I deleted this column, and I am going to expand on this instruction. So first instruction was move A comma B. This is the first instruction, move A comma B. Now using this instruction, you can actually decipher what byte it is, what byte instruction it is. So MOV contains an opcode, okay, which is 78H. Now 78H is a 1 byte, okay, and A and B, these are registers, so these does not contain or need not be stored in the memory. Okay, so this is a 1 byte instruction. And if you want to define what are the machine cycles, you can see this table, the instruction flow table. So here we have used 78H in the data bus. For this we have done opcode fetch. Okay, so this is only one machine cycle. After that we didn't need to do any other machine cycles, so it needs opcode fetch. Okay, so this is one machine cycle. Now what are T states? So for this one machine cycle, what are type of operations we are doing? First of all, the address is being stored or being directed to the address bus, which is 2000H is being directed to the address bus. So this is one T state. Next, for reading from the memory or reading the opcode from the memory or doing an opcode fetch, we need to send a control signal from the microprocessor, which is a read signal. So this is second T state. After that, after the data is being read from the memory, it's being sent to the data bus to the microprocessor. So this is the third T state, and after the opcode is being sent to the microprocessor sends that data or that opcode to the instruction decoder for decoding what type of instruction it is. So this is the fourth T state. We need 4 T states. Okay, 4 T states for move a comma b. So you can remember that for one byte instruction we need 4 T states. Next we are moving on to the second instruction, which is MVI A, 38H. Okay. So MVI A, 38H. Now from this instruction you can see that we need an opcode for MVI, which is 1 byte, and we are sending a data which is 38H, which is being stored in the memory. So this is actually a 2 byte instruction. 2 byte instruction. So first, from the instruction flow you can decode what are the machine cycles. So I can give them bold. Okay. So what are the machine cycles? So from here you can see that for MVI A, 38H we needed one opcode fetch and one data fetch. Okay, so these are the two machine cycles, one opcode fetch and one data fetch. Okay, now for the opcode fetch we have seen we needed 4 T states. Okay, so 4 T states plus for the data fetch we are avoiding one step. We are sending the address from to the address bus, then we are sending a control signal which is the read, then we are getting back the data, but we are directly placing the data to the accumulator because the instruction is MVIA. We are avoiding one step of sending the data to the instruction decoder. Okay, so this is 3 T states, which is a total of 7 T states. Okay, then we are moving on to the next instruction, which is LXI H, 4050H. LXI H, 4050H. Now you can see from this instruction we need an opcode for LXI H, and there are 2 bytes of address are being sent to the HL register pair. So it's actually 2 plus 1, which is 3 byte instruction. 3 byte instruction. Now for decoding the number of machine cycles, we can see from the instruction flow diagram that we needed one opcode fetch and 2 data fetch. Okay, so there are 3 machine cycles: opcode fetch, and data fetch, which is for 2 times. So for data fetch we have seen 3 T states. So we are going to do it like this: 4T plus 3T plus 3T, which is a total of 10 T states. 10 T states for LXI H, 4050H. Then we have an instruction which is STA 7050H. STA 7050H. So this is we need an opcode for STA, and we are passing 2 data bytes. So it's a 3 byte instruction. So we need, for decoding the number of machine cycles for the instruction, we need a opcode fetch, then data fetch, then data fetch, and a data write. Okay, we are writing the contents of the accumulator to the required memory location. So opcode fetch, opcode fetch, data fetch 2 times for getting the address of the memory location, and data write, I writing back the data of the accumulator. Okay, now we have seen 4 T states for opcode fetch, 3 T states for data fetch. So we have given 3 T states for 2 data fetches, and for data write will be actually be requiring 3 T states, because first we'll be fetching, giving the address to the address bus, and then we'll be sending the using that address we'll be sending the data to the data bus for writing. Okay, so first we set the control signal, then we send the address bus, and then we send the data. So we are using actually 3 T states. 3 T states. So a total of 13 T states are required for STA. So this is how we decipher the number of machine cycles and T states for a respective instruction.